So I got my brain mapping results back, and here they are. So these are the wave frequencies that are measured. You can screenshot this or pause it. I'm not going to talk about this, but let me know in the comments if you want me to. Here are some of the areas that are measured and parts of the brain that are measured. But the purpose of this, I want to get into my actual brain. If you want me to talk about that stuff, let me know. First, we'll start with the delta. So these are the different wavelengths that are measured. And then so my delta, if we look over here, low activity in the back. And this really signifies that I have not gotten really good sleep for a really long time. Shows up as resource deprivation, difficulty focusing, reading comprehension, and memory issues. So that rang true for me, and it was interesting to just see that show up on a paper. Next is the theta. This is a connection between the limbic system and the cortex, the smart part of your brain, versus the snake part of your brain, the reptile brain. And for mine, with the very low activity in the back, this is showing that for a long time, I've internalized a lot of emotions. My emotions have been compartmentalized and inhibited, which is hallmark of complex trauma survivors. Basically, your brain is protecting you, saying that it's threatening to show those emotions. So it's for survival. Why bother? It's too destabilizing to do that. And so that's your brain, my brain, saying that we're not going to show emotion. And this presents, impacts memory. It may look like poor decision making and impulsivity. So, yeah, that's that. That's my theta waves. And it's really interesting just to see how much I've suppressed emotion along my life. Next is the alpha waves. These are, this is the idling state of the brain and the connection of like who your default self is, your grounded self. I have some high activity in the back part of my brain, which means my brain is busy. It's high activity on rumination, but not necessarily on anything negative. It could be positive, negative, or neutral. And then you see those two light blue spots at the T's, that looks like brain fog, confusion, and overwhelmed by all the things that I'm thinking. And also some low emotional control. So theta is suppressing those memories, but the alpha is actually releasing those. So it may look like calm for a really long time, then sprinkled in with some emotional outbursts because that low T in the alpha wavelength. And lastly, we have the beta waves. These are the fastest, the higher order thinking, problem solving waves that are, a lot of your cognition. And I have a lot of green on this one, which is the reason I'm able to be so high achieving and do the things that I do despite some of the traumas and the affected parts of my brain. But they are dysregulated in a few places. So the F8 is mildly low, but it looks like focus difficulty and cognitive interference, which looks like working harder than I need to make a decision, or just flat out avoiding making decisions. And the high O2 in the back is rumination again, but much more negatively focused. So this looks like anxiety, worry, stress, and that inner critic, which I definitely deal with. So one of the first things we're going to work on is trying to get that delta to rise to get my sleep under control, hopefully having better sleep. But it was just so interesting to see, my reality, things that show up in my life mapped out in colors that someone could read. And the last thing I want to show is this delta theta beta ratio, which is a screen for ADHD. And I've, had concerns that maybe I've developed it in recent years, but that's just not the case for me. If it were, it would look like high delta in the front, high theta in the front, and globally low beta. So I don't have those signs, but if someone is out there thinking they may have ADHD, this would be a good screen to show that and show what your brain activity actually looks like. So the signs of what I thought was ADHD is just related to the things that I mentioned earlier.